The Rabbit Hunt Tragedy. Springfield, South Carolina, November 28, 2019. It was a quiet Thanksgiving morning in Springfield, South Carolina. The kind of calm that makes the world feel safe. 9-year-old Colton Williams walked proudly beside his father, wearing his small camouflage vest and orange safety cap, a family tradition before the holiday meal. Around 7:15 a.m., they entered a clearing where the brush grew thick around two fallen logs. Colton moved a few steps ahead, scanning the grass for rabbits. Suddenly, one darted between the stumps. His father raised his 12-gauge shotgun and fired, not realizing his son had stepped directly into the line of sight. The shot struck Colton in the upper chest, just below the collarbone. He fell backward onto the damp leaves. His father dropped the gun and ran to him, lifting the boy into his arms. He tried to press his jacket against the wound, shouting for help as blood soaked through the child's vest. Paramedics arrived within minutes, followed by a rescue helicopter that landed in the nearby field. Colton was airlifted to the hospital, but the damage to his heart and lungs was too severe. He was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Investigators ruled it an accidental discharge during a rabbit hunt, a momentary lapse of awareness that ended a young life. In the days that followed, Colton's organs were donated, saving 3 other children. His school described him as one of our beloved 4th-grade scholars. For his father, Thanksgiving would forever mark the day a single misjudged shot turned a family tradition into a lifelong tragedy. The Black Friday Stampede. Valley Stream, New York, November 28, 2008. It was the morning after Thanksgiving, the start of holiday shopping across America. At the Walmart in Valley Stream, New York, 34-year-old Dramatized Damour arrived early for his shift. He was a seasonal employee, hired to manage the crowd on one of the busiest retail days of the year. Standing by the entrance doors, bundled in his jacket, he texted a friend that he was excited. It was his first Black Friday on the job. Outside, hundreds of shoppers pressed against the glass. The air was cold and restless. At 4:55 a.m., security tried holding the sliding doors closed as the crowd chanted for the sale to start. Damour and several co-workers stood just behind the metal frame, gripping the rails to keep it steady. At 5:03 a.m., the doors buckled. The wave that followed was instant and unstoppable. Shoppers flooded in, knocking displays aside. Damour fell backward and vanished beneath the crush of bodies. Witnesses later recalled hearing him yell once before the roar drowned him out. For nearly 10 minutes, he lay on the floor as hundreds of feet trampled past. Paramedics reached him shortly after, but the damage was irreversible. He was pronounced dead at the scene from asphyxiation and internal trauma. Police said more than 2,000 people had gathered outside the store before dawn. Walmart was later fined for inadequate crowd control and poor emergency planning. For those who worked beside him, that morning ended any sense of holiday spirit. Black Friday had become the day a man died doing his job, opening the doors for everyone else. The Thanksgiving Drive, Nevada County, California, November 24, 2021. It was the night before Thanksgiving, and the Montano family was on the road to visit relatives in Northern California. 30-year-old Daniel Montano drove while his wife Alexis, 29, sat beside him, singing softly with the radio. In the back seat, their 2 children dozed under a blanket, 7-year-old Marcos and 5-year-old Maria. Between them sat their youngest, 4-year-old Julian, clutching a stuffed bear. They left their home in North Highlands just after sunset. The highway was nearly empty, a cold wind sweeping across the Sierra foothills. Somewhere near Nevada County, another car merged onto the same route, heading the wrong way. At 7:35 p.m., headlights appeared ahead. Daniel had only seconds to react. The impact was head-on. The force crumpled both vehicles, scattering glass across the asphalt. Passing drivers called 911, their voices trembling as they described the wreckage. First responders arrived within minutes. Daniel and Alexis were pronounced dead at the scene. The 2 older children did not survive the crash. Only Julian, still strapped in his booster seat, was found alive, dazed, his stuffed bear beside him. He was airlifted to UC Davis Medical Center with serious injuries but later recovered. Investigators determined the other driver had been traveling the wrong direction for nearly 5 miles before the collision. The Montanos had been on their way to a family Thanksgiving dinner. Instead, their youngest child became the only voice left to tell their story. A reminder of how quickly a single mistake can erase an entire future. The Thanksgiving Hunt, Hallsville, Texas, November 27, 2021. It was the last Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend in Hallsville, Texas. Warm sunlight cutting through the pine trees, the air still and dry. 11-year-old Daisy Grace Lynn George had grown up around the woods. Hunting was a family tradition, something she shared proudly with her father. That morning, she helped carry the gear from the truck, smiling as she adjusted the orange safety vest that nearly matched the sunrise. The group moved quietly through the brush, searching for deer along a tree line. Her father stopped to rest his rifle, the barrel glinting in the light. As he shifted position, the weapon discharged, a single crack echoing across the clearing. The bullet struck Daisy in the torso. She fell to the ground before anyone understood what had happened. Her father dropped to his knees beside her, calling her name again and again. Family members tried to stop the bleeding as emergency crews were dispatched to the rural property. Within minutes, an air ambulance circled overhead, landing in a nearby field. Daisy was flown to a Shreveport hospital but died shortly after arrival. Investigators from the Harrison County Sheriff's Office ruled the shooting accidental. Local churches held candlelight vigils in her memory. Her classmates described her as cheerful, brave, and quick to laugh. A girl who loved animals and wanted to become a veterinarian. Thanksgiving weekend ended in silence that year. A single moment had taken a daughter from her family, turning a cherished tradition into a loss they would carry through every November that followed. Our condolences go out to everyone affected and to all who lost their lives in these stories. Thank you for watching, and subscribe if you'd like to see more real stories like this.